Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Lynn Nesbitt, and I'm chairing today's panel. Joining me on the panel are Brent McIntyre and Kira Penner. Our assessor today is Marina Tenuwara, and our administrative personnel is Fran Picoto. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you'll be placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted to the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the business assessment role in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act and the City of Winnipeg Charter. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I'll confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We'll then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the applicant and the panel may have, and then the applicant's testimony, followed by questions that the assessor and the panel members may have. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1 and 2 and 5, 6, 7 on our docket today. Ms. Picoto, please affirm the assessor's and applicant's testimony.
I will just place the applicant for item 2 in the waiting room.
Okay.
All right. Madam Assessor, please state your full name. Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Madam Applicant, please state your full name.
Marsha Riddell.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
And good morning, Ms. Tenuwara and Ms. Riddell. Ms. Riddell, thank you for coming today. You are appealing the total annual rental value of your property, and that's correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Then we will start with Ms. Tenuwara's evidence, and this is file number 24-4493, 555 Sterling Lion Parkway, Unit 201. Ms. Tenuwara.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, you can go ahead with your evidence, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. file number 24-4493, roll year 2025, property address, unit 201, 555 Sterling Line, Factory, business assessment ID 54419, business name Tendi Farms. This unit originally valued as area of 2,403. That's the total leasable area for this unit. But evidence presented by the applicant, based on those evidence, based on the pictures and the floor plan, I'm proposing to reduce the premise area to 1,500 square feet today, and use the base ARV per square feet rent as it is, which is $38.17. That reduce and use the occupancy cost as it is. Occupancy total cost will be 6,444. Oh, sorry. Occupancy cost will reduce based on the smaller area. Proposed occupancy cost will be 4,050. And annual rental value will be reduced to 61,320. This recommendation based on the evidence presented by the applicant for this hearing. So that's my recommendation for this property. I put the rental comparables here. All the rental comparables from same building, same outlet mall. And rental comparables will show you it is rent is comparable to the comparable rents. The lowest comparable rent is $36, which is higher square footage, and it's the highest comparable sense is $58. Within those comparables, $38.17 will be in the market level of rent for this unit. Based on this evidence, I'm asking to reduce the annual total ARV to 61,320.
Okay,
Thanks, Madam Chair.
thank you very much. So we have you've made a recommendation to reduce the square feet to 1,500.
Yes.
This is based on the evidence presented by the applicant. That brings the occupancy costs to $4,050, correct?
That's right.
And then that would mean that the base ARV, hang on, is 57,270.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just repeating so that I have it right in my brain. And you've not changed the base ARV per square foot. You've left it at 38.17.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, rental did not change.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Riddell, you have a recommendation put in front of you to reduce your total annual rental value from 98,220 to 61,320. Do you accept that recommendation?
Yes, that's basically exactly where we thought would be appropriate for this unit.
Okay, so
My
thank you.
only concern with that is that because they changed the square footage value, and I'm not fighting the ARV because the total number at the end of the day is what we're looking for, that next year when we get our assessment, that could pose a problem.
No, we will make sure the square footage change in the system.
Okay.
Does that address your concern, Ms. Riddell?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. McIntyre, any questions to the assessor on the recommendation?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Penner?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Okay, and I have no questions either. So thank you very much, Ms. Riddell. I think we're done. And thank you,
Okay.
Ms. Tenuera, for that recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Let's bring in Mr. Cordingley. Mr. Cordingley, before we get started with your item, we will need to affirm your testimony, please.
Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
It's James or Jim Cordingley.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we are now on item number 2 of our agenda. This is file number 24-4465. The address is Unit 3A at 1225 St. Mary's Road. Ms. Tenawera, when you are ready with your evidence, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. File number 24-4465. Whole year 2025, address 3A, Unit 3A, 1225 St. Mary's Road, business name Kite and Cupboard. Total annual rental value for this property, we originally assessed as 175,740. I'm making a recommendation today based on evidence presented by the applicant. Applicant's brief indicating actual rent paid for April 2022 to March 2023 was 1,37,709. I'm using that one. I'm considering that rent would be the rental rates they paid for this one, including the licensee fee plus the percentage rent portion. I divided the reported number with premise area, which is 4,941. My base ARV per square feet calculated $27.87 using information provided by applicant, dividing that number dividing by the size for the unit. My recommendation to reduce base ARV per square feet to $27.87 and use the total occupancy cost as it is because we are maintaining the premise size, no change to premise size. Total annual rental value will be $151,020. That's my recommendation today. This is that rent supported by the rental comparables. I am put it in here. Actually, this is the lowest rent, but I understand these kind of units. Those are licensee agreements. Those are temporary tenants. It's a short-term tenant leases. Then I'm okay to reduce the rental rates a little bit lower than which we use for $32.87 based on all the evidence provided. My recommendation is $151,020 will be the total annual rent for this unit.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Tenawera. So I'm just going to reiterate, so we're all on the same page again. You're recommending no change to the square footage, but you are recommending a decrease to the base ARV per foot squared to $27.87.
That's right.
So that brings the base ARV down to $137,706, maintaining the same occupancy costs for a total ARV of $151,020. Correct?
That's right. All
Okay.
correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cordingley, you have a recommendation in front of you to reduce the base or the total annual rental value to $151,020. Do you accept that recommendation?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, then. We will stop there for a little minute. Mr. McIntyre, do you have questions for the assessor?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Penner, do you have questions for the assessor?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay. So nor do I. We have heard her evidence. So Mr. Cordingley, you can begin with your evidence, please.
Sure. So can I ask the assessor a question or?
Oh, yes, of course. I'm
Sure.
sorry.
Yeah, okay, so, all of the comparables that you've provided, Marina, they're all, leases that were ending, prior to, I guess one of them, a couple of them go through, but there are older leases that are ending before the reference date, most of them. From the time that those leases were signed, we went through COVID and things like that. So, do you consider those valid reference points?
You have a good point, but we don't have very new leases for the St. Vital Mall. Which is because we have some leases, but either those are not suitable to bring it here because either those are larger units, it's not the real comparison for the size wise. And most of some units were kind of leased as a licensee agreement, temporary tenant agreement, then we cannot bring those ones. Those are the units I found, because of the 2017 start, I thought about it's a reasonable comparables. And also the newest lease they signed, passing the reference date show me $36 per square feet as a rental rates. That's all I choose from the St. Vital Mall because I try to stick to the St. Vital Mall only leases.
So I guess my comment about that would be that because we went through COVID, the retail environment has been changing. And so,
Mr. Accordingly, is this a question or is this your evidence?
well, this, I guess it would be, I just want to just reiterate that because we went through COVID, the leases that were signed before COVID would have been in a different environment. I guess it's a comment, Marina. That's all.
Okay. All right. Mr. McIntyre, Ms. Penner, do you have any additional questions for the assessor in follow-up to Mr. Accordingly?
I do not.
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Okay. All right, then, Mr. Accordingly, why don't you take us through your evidence, please?
Sure. So the retail environment has changed drastically over the last 10 years or so, since we've been in St. Vital Center. When we tried to get in there originally, we couldn't get in because the mall was full and there was no space available, no space coming available in the foreseeable future. And the change of the retail environment globally with more online shopping, that type of stuff, has affected a number of retailers, which has removed retailers from the market. And what that has done is, of course, decrease demand for mall space. And that continues to happen. COVID was a very big hit for retail, and it continued to reduce the demand. So we've been in that mall now for about 10 years. And after COVID, we went through a significant drop in business. We did stay operating, but we were limping along, and we're actually still recovering from that. We're still building back our business, and the entire mall is in the same type of situation. So what we've seen is that the mall actually maintains a fairly significant percentage of empty space now. It used to be that, like I said, we couldn't get in. We asked, we got put on a waiting list, and it took well, there was really no chance of getting in. Now, as of April 2023, the mall was sitting with close to 10% vacancy, and a big portion of that vacancy was down the aisle that we're in. So we're in the aisle that goes towards the bay, and there were seven empty spaces in that section, or that wing, if you will, at the end of November of 2022. I'm not sure exactly what the count was by April, because some of the spaces were actually filled with Christmas pop-ups that come and go sort of November to January, then they're gone. So the bottom line is that there's a significant number of spaces available in our wing itself. The Bay had reduced its hours after COVID and was operating on I believe they operated from 11 till 7, as opposed to the 10 in the morning till 9 at night, which the rest of the mall operates. So that reduces traffic. So, you know, it's really while things have been getting a little bit better, they certainly aren't back to where they were prior to COVID. And, you know, we continue to see retailers dropping out, you know, as time goes on. The leases that we have signed, or I guess they're not called leases, they're called rental agreements or licensing agreements, have always been based on what the market demand was at the mall at the time. And the agreement that we have in place during this period required us to pay a percentage of sales to the landlord. And it was basically deemed that was a fair value for that period of time, because again, traffic is down. You know, there is less retailers to draw customers into the building. And so that represents, you know, what both the landlord and ourselves felt was a fair value for that space. And based on the fact that there continues to be additional space sitting empty throughout that whole period, you know, that would, to me, would indicate that probably is a realistic value. If they, because the leases are short, if they had somebody that wanted to come in at a higher value, they would stop signing these deals and bring somebody in. You know, if they thought somebody that was willing to pay, you know, a significantly larger rental value for the same space. So what we're asking for is that the annual rental value be reduced to $139,000, which is just basically at the upper end of what we paid through that second year. I mean, really, that's including information after April of that year, but I think that's a fair value for that period of time.
Okay. Anything further, Mr. Cordingley, or?
No, I think that's it. If I can
Okay.
answer questions, of course.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Ms. Tenawera, do you have any questions for Mr. Cordingley?
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you. Mr. Cordingley, I read your temporary licensee agreement. That's a total leasable area. The premise size is 5,792 as per this page. Which number is correct? 4,941 or 5,792?
I couldn't say for sure. I've never really measured it myself. That's the landlord's numbers. So I mean, I don't know. If the landlord's number is different than yours,
Yes, landlord numbers is approximately 8,800 square feet. It's different. Yeah, that's not a problem to me right now, but I'm asking the question.
Yeah,
I
would
do the measurements later.
Yeah, we've never rented the space on a square foot basis, so we've never done a measurement. So I couldn't say for sure. You know, but the I think the landlord has measured it.
Okay.
Our space was originally the Gap. The store was the Gap,
Yes,
And
that's
you-
what I
you-
think we are continue using the gap space too. It might be changed after the gap move out and after,
it was, the gap was divided into, it was gap and gap kids were one
yes,
space,
I know.
and they divided it into two. So I'm not sure where the numbers come from.
Okay, we will do the further investigation later, but I'm not going to effect asking any change for this
Okay.
this time, because we, without knowing 100%, I cannot propose any number premise area change. So that's all my question, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Tanawera. Mr. McIntyre, questions?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Penner.
Just on the issue of the size, I'm wondering, is it possible that, like, when the city works off their size, it's just the area of the building or the space, whereas the landlord may be using a grossed up rate based on if you have storage areas or extra.
There is storage in the back of the store, so it may be a difference in those two. I don't,
Okay. I think,
there's a washroom as well, and things like that. So, I don't know if the one number is the retail space and the other one includes.
Can I explain?
Go
Can I
ahead,
explain?
go ahead, Ms. Tanawera.
Okay, as per the landlord, the way they reported, if there is a storage, they reported storage areas separately, with their income expenses mailer. So I will go and check the income expenses mailer, how they reported. So I think we used the 4,941 as they reported in the previous year, or when we use the tenant to tenant, we might not calculate we might not measure the area. That's why we still using the old original space. But if we found the huge discrepancy on error, we can issue the supplementary assessment. But I believe here we might not find that much of the discrepancy.
I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. I just will redirect a little question to Ms. Tanawera. This business has been in this premise for 10 years. I'm assuming the square footage you've used hasn't changed for the last 10 years, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. That's why when I read this information, I found it. That's why I thought about asking.
Yeah.
So I assume 4,941 will be stay for the future. But when I read the lease agreement, I thought I should ask
Yeah, okay.
if you're aware about the size change in between time.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Cordingley, the rent paid that you show on page 4, does that include occupancy costs like light and heat? That includes all that?
That's everything gross. It's all included.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just writing down. Take me a minute. Okay, I have no additional questions for you, Mr. Cordingley. Ms. Assessor, would you like to make a summary statement?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Cordingley, would you like to make a summary statement?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, then thank you very much. That will conclude item number 2. And Mr. Cordingley, you'll have our decision shortly.
Very good.
Thank you for coming today.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our next item on our agenda is item number 5, and I believe, Ms. Picotto, do we have an applicant present for that item yet?
I don't believe so, just to double check, which items are you here for?
Student supports. That's more Palestine.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we don't have the applicant for item 5 present.
Okay, so we will move item number 5 to the bottom of our agenda and move forward to item number 6 on our agenda. Ms. Pakoda, we do have an applicant for item 6.
Yes. we have
Okay,
a-
great.
you're
Great.
in.
Oh, there you are. You're out of my screen view, so now I can see you.
Great.
Okay, before we begin, Ms. Pakoda will affirm your evidence.
So Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Murtala Sani.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll start with item number 6. This is file number 24-4560, Unit 707K, 1225 St. Mary's Road. Ms. Tenawera, you may begin with your evidence, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. File number 24-4560, roll year 2025, property address, unit 707K, 1225 St. Mary's Road, business name Sweet Farms. This is a kiosk area. It is not the full unit. It is a kiosk. Premise area size is the 121 square feet. This is the watch, prepare and all of those kind of place in middle corridors. Base yearly rent we use for $388.44 plus occupancy cost. And our annual rental value is $47,340, which was the original annual rental value. Today, I'm making a recommendation to reduce the rental value to $300 based on my comparables, Wireless Wave and Bevel. Those units also not very desirable units. Those are reasonably built units. Based on those rents are lower. Then based on those two comparables, I'm reducing rental rate to $300, which calculated total annual rental value reduced to $36,600. Today, I'm making recommendation to reduce annual rental value to $36,600. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Sani, do you accept the recommendation to reduce the annual rental value to 36? Did you say 36,600?
Yeah, 36,600.
Yes. Mr. Sani, do you accept that recommendation?
Yes, I think it's pretty much reflective of the rent that I paid for that location. So yes, thank you.
Okay. Mr. McIntyre, questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Penner?
No questions for me, thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions either. So thank you very much. That will conclude item number 6. Let's move on to item number 7. This is file number 24-4559, 555 Sterling Line Parkway, Unit TK10. Ms. Tenawera.
Thank you, Madam Chair. File number 24-4559, toll year 2025, address unit TK10 555 Sterling Line Parkway, business name Swift Pass. This unit, also the kiosk unit, and premise area of 200 square feet, and base annual rental per square feet is $300.39, which is model driven, well supported by the model for the rental rates. The rental rates exact same, almost exact same as what I propose for the St. Vital Mall, $300. So $300 $39 is a market level of rent for these kind of units. You can see all of my comparables pay higher rental rates. I'm asking to ignore the last mobile care unit, which is a really higher number of total leasable area. It's at 791 square feet at $80, which is very similar for the other mobile units. Other mobile units pay higher rental rates. Those are the chain type mobile units. So this unit is $300.39 will be the market level reasonable rental rates. I'm asking to confirm the annual rental value as $60,600 for this unit. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Tanawara. Mr. Sani, do you have questions for the assessor?
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering if, in considering obviously this values, you also look at this, I mean, the comparables that you're looking at, the nature of the business that they do is way out of league in what I think.
Yes, I understand. And also they pay lots of high rents. They are paying $695 per square feet, $600 per square feet, $599 per square feet, $490 per square feet. They pay way too much high rent than what I propose for 300, because the previous location, Senvita, you have the exact same kind of kiosk. I propose 300. Here also you have the exact same kind of kiosk. The 300 will be in the market level of rental rates.
So the question for me really would be, we had, a similar conversation last year, 2024. I mean, what would have changed to, justify this increase? The kiosk has been there since 2021.
It is not an increase. We maintain exact same number, exact same kind of increase. It's not the exact same number. It's the exact same kind of increase. We did not change anything.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that it doesn't reflect even close to what I paid. That's just looking at the evidence that I provided. There is, it's, a total of, I pay around $3,600, every month in rent for that space.
But you pay for licensee agreement, but this is a market rental value, rental rates.
Wow. As far as I know, that from what I've read, you take two things into consideration. You take the actual rent that is being paid, and do you also take, I'm not sure if you take the nature of the business, is what I'm asking, because if you take into consideration the nature of the business, right, and you also take into consideration the rental value, which obviously you have as evidence, it's not reflective of the $60,000 value that is being attributed. And I'm just saying that, I was here last year for the same particular kiosk. So I'm just wondering what has changed between, even with any increase, it really doesn't justify the jump from 40-something thousand to 60,000, considering, what we do there.
I will explain. Can I explain, Madam
Yes,
Chair?
he's asked you a question. Yes.
So 2020 appeal, Board of Revision appeal, we discussed exact same matter. But at that time, board decided to reduce to annual rental value to reflect what you actually paying without even considering occupancy cost. That's why you get the lower annual rental value for last cycle, 2020, 2021, 2023. But which is, we appeal for the municipal board for that appeal. File number is 23A10475. I think you are aware about that. This is pending municipal board appeal decision. So I cannot give any weight what had happened in last cycle. This is a brand new cycle, and we are still using market rental value. Yes, I consider your unit size, unit condition, and everything. Based on the unit size, unit condition, and everything, $300.69 would be the appropriate market rate for this.
Anything further, Mr. Sani?
Well, I mean, I'm just taken aback. Like I said, I know that, particularly with the outlet mall, what has happened is I've always had an annual rent. So my rents or these agreements have been year to year. And what I paid last year was, changed for this year.
I just need to interrupt you. Is this a question for the assessor or is this your evidence?
Well, it's just reflecting my evidence, the evidence.
Okay. If you could just hold off until we find out if the panel members have questions first, and then we'll go to your evidence, okay?
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Penner, do you have questions for the assessor?
I'm just wondering, sorry, excuse me. Let's try that again. Sorry. I am just wondering, there's quite a significant difference between the comparables that you've presented here and what your recommendation is for the subject property. Would there be any other businesses or similar usages in the mall that would be more similar to
I only consider kiosk because this is his unit also the kiosk. The kiosk like a bill card and those other kiosks are kind of chain type businesses. They have a nicer kiosk than applicants, and that's why those price rental rates are higher. I could not find anything lower rental rates. The lowest one is $80, but that's the mobile care has a bigger unit. Bigger unit is 791 cents, 1 square feet bigger unit. That's the lowest rent I found for the mobile type use. This is the particular use they have the kiosk because I cannot bring any of the market rents for the unit. That's why I didn't bring any of the unit rents here. Those are the kiosk rent. Those are the only rents we have. They collected high rents for these ones. And also there are some people, they pay licensee agreements. Licensee agreements are different. It's a 1 year short-term leases. We would not consider those as a market rents.
Do you always stay specifically in the same mall where the subject is located, or do you look outside to other malls for more similar?
This docket, I try to be within the same mall because it's the same mall has enough comparables. Sometimes we move to the other malls. Even though his property, his unit, I'm using exact same kind of rental rates for even though St. Vital and Outlet Mall because I'm proposing $300 in St. Vital. Outlet Mall model driven is $300.39, which is market level.
And are those two locations similar in terms of the traffic that they're seeing, the number of people,
I believe it's almost similar because St. Vital started doing very well now. And those kind of subject time period too. So it's almost similar because I'm not using comparing with the Polo Park, which is superior.
That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Penner. Mr. McIntyre, questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Yeah, my question was the same as Ms. Penner's, Ms. Tenawara, about you made a comment that this is similar to the St. Vital Mall property, but are rents generally higher or lower at one of the two malls? Like, are they the same type of property that you can compare them?
If you put my two graves side by side, you can see about the kiosk rent almost the same. It's around 500, 500, 500, 700. This is 600, 500, 400. Because those rents change a little bit here and there based on the size. St. Vital Mall has all the 150 square feet size kiosks. In here, it's kind of size vary a little bit here and there. It's just almost, kiosk rent is almost within the market level. It's not very different, it's there.
And does location make a difference within the mall?
You mean where the kiosk?
Kiosk location within the mall.
Yes, it does. And also that's why I'm giving them a lower rental rates because his kiosk is kind of owner occupied small tenant type kiosk. That's why we kind of use the $300 instead of the national chain type kiosk.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Sani, you may present your evidence, please.
Okay, well, so like I said earlier, again, I'm not sure if the nature of the business, you know, in the comparables that she's brought, these are all at the outlet mall. All of the comparables that are listed in the evidence are nowhere near the kind of business that we do. We change watch batteries, we provide, you know, services, and we're being compared to like kiosks that sell mobile phones. And, you know, that's kind of where I'm a bit, you know, I'm taken aback in terms of, you know, the rents that they pay. And these are national, you know, kiosks. We're a small kiosk providing services, changing watch batteries. And all I'm asking is that, you know, the value of the rent that we pay, you know, should be reflected. I pay about 35, just almost 3,600 month to month. Just, you know, times that by 12, which gives the actual rent that I pay. And I just want, you know, that to be reflected in my, you know, value. Because the market value that she's talked about, just like one of the presenters has talked about, looking at the year that they signed the lease, I signed year to year, but I also got into that mall post-COVID. And on the basis of that, we kind of reached the agreement for the rent that I'm paying. You know, the question was also asked with regards to, you know, traffic, and the mall is, I mean, outlet mall and the St. Vital mall are completely different when it comes to traffic. St. Vital is in a residential area. You've got more traffic there. The outlet mall is strictly a weekend mall. So we have situations where during the week it's very scanty, and the weekends are pretty much, you know, our bread and butter. So all I'm asking is just based on the evidence that I've provided, that the rent that I've paid be reflected in the, you know, should be considered in the valuation that I've been given. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sani. Ms. Tenawara, questions?
You pay percentage rent for the
There is a clause in the lease for percentage rent. I've never met that.
that's another.
So I've never met that level, so I don't pay percentage rent. But it's included in the lease
Okay.
that if I meet that threshold, I will pay.
Yes, I
But
understand.
I never
Yeah,
met it.
you never paid the percentage rate.
No.
Okay, that's all my question, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. McIntyre, do you have any questions?
I just have one comment regarding the applicant's evidence, and he has submitted a lease license agreement dated post-reference, so it's not really relevant.
Mm-hmm.
That's my comment.
Thank you. Ms. Penner?
No questions for me. Thank you.
I also noticed that it was post-reference, but Mr. Sani, was your previous rental agreement similar
Yes.
or the same?
It's pretty much the same. I mean, last year, I do not know that the lease that I sent was post-reference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's dated July 2024. But my question to you, you
Yeah, it still
you
remains the
said
same
you've
way.
been there for several years. Is this the same lease, type of lease?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
And have your rents increased or decreased since you first started there?
The first year it changed, but it's remained pretty much the same the last year to two. And yeah, I just renew I just have to renew the lease every year, but it's pretty much remained the same.
Okay. Thank you. I have no additional questions. Ms. Tanawara, would you like to make a summary statement?
I'm good, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Sani, would you like to make a summary statement?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, then that will conclude item number 7. So thank you very much, Mr. Sani, for coming and for coming in person. We don't always get that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day. Okay, we're going to cycle back to item number 5. Ms. Picoto, do we have an applicant present yet for item number 5? That's file number 24-4533.
No, we do not.
Okay, the panel will go in camera then, and we will determine whether or not we will hear this item without the applicant being present. So Ms. Tanawara, if you could excuse us, please.
Yeah, sure.
Madam Chair, we are live.
Thank you very much. The panel has considered whether or not we would hear item number 5 without the applicant being present, and have decided that we will hear the matter. So Ms. Tanawara, if you could please begin with your evidence on item number 5, file number 24-4533. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. File number 24-4533. Total year 2025. Address Unit 108, 1225 St. Mary's Road. Business Assessment ID 757-75-5. Business name Dark Sugar Hair and Beauty Studios. This unit size is 1,286. We use the base ARV per square feet as $49.94, which is model driven, and occupancy cost as decided. So annual rental value will be 67,680. This is also short-term temporary leases. These start in 2019, July 21st. Reported area for the lease, 1,286. I put comparables here. Those comparables are within the semi-town mode, and size-wise is considerably closer size of the premise area. You can see my comparables vary from $53 to $80 per square feet. But the subject unit using $49.96, which is model driven rental rates. So I'm proposing confirm the annual rental value as it is 67,680. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Ms. Pinner, do you have any questions for the assessor?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick question from me, Ms. Tanawara. Under your portion of your presentation titled Subject Lease Information, why don't you provide the reported rent?
Oh, they don't report a rent because it's a short-term
Oh,
tenant.
it's just the short term. It's the
Yeah.
same sort of lease as the others.
Yeah, short-term tenancy agreements, those are
Right.
net rents. It's a bit decision between the business owner and the tenants.
Okay. But below these are actuals?
But those aren't reported net rents, yes,
Okay.
because we only rely on market evidence.
Okay, so you have reported rents for the rent comparables, but you don't have subject.
Subject reported rents because it's a temporary, short-term, temporary.
It's despite the fact that it says no lease end date.
Yes, that most of the tenants, short-term temporaries, could end within 1 month notice.
Oh, I see. So that's how you describe it, as no lease end date,
Yeah,
because it could be terminated at any time.
anytime.
Okay, whereas these other ones have a fixed term.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, that was all my questions, just for clarification there.
I just had one more, Madam
oh.
Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So when St. Vital Center sends in their mailer, how do they record these short-term temporary tenants?
How
Good
do
question.
they report it the short-term temporary tenants? When they send the income expenses mail, that's what the question.
Right, yeah.
They only provide if they pay any common area and all those costs, they put those numbers, but that the line column is empty. They don't report it in.
So is this tenant listed on the mailer?
They listed on the mailer because they have to put what's the unit, who is the tenant in there. But they don't fill any of the other lines, any of the other columns.
Okay,
Unless
fair enough.
they pay occupancy cost or some common area or property tax portion, sometimes they put, sometimes they don't.
Okay, that was my only question. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have now heard all items scheduled today on our agenda, so this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you very much, Ms. Tanawera.
Thank you so much for all of you.
Have a great day.
You too. All of
Thank
you.
you very much.
Bye.